that giant ox thing. I bet you've never seen anything like that before.
Usually it's worse.
No one can stand against me.
You're part of a family again. A family that needs you.
All right, Sean, I am really stoked to talk to you about Heroes of the Golden Mask. This is a movie, I love these type of movies. It reminded me of The Forbidden Kingdom, Enter the Warrior's Gate. It had that similar premise, but I love that it brought something fresh at the same time, where you have the masked heroes and how the chosen ones also that, and a little twist and turns with it. I mean, overall, it's a great animated film.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
So my first question is, how did this idea come about? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, so I mean, this is actually a true co-production between Vancouver, Canada, and China. And it was actually Jim Cameron and Brian Smith that were kind of the pioneers behind the idea. There is a place in China called Sangshuandui, and it is a lost city. And so that lost city that was recently discovered decades ago, they wanted to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Brian and Jim came in, started spitballing ideas. They uncovered all these ancient masks. And the idea was, what if these masks had magical powers?
Wow, that's amazing. But then I also heard it was loosely based on possibly a novel. Is that what I heard too? Like, that's
correct. Yeah. And so the novel, actually, I really love. That's John Wilson. And so he ended up doing the novel, and it got published, and a lot of it, they're a little bit different. I mean, I think they start at the same place, but where John's is more grounded, where Brian and Jim went is a little bit more magical and mystical.
That's awesome. And the voice cast in this is amazing. I mean, you got some really good veterans here, especially the late Christopher Plummer. I mean, this is the final performance he did. So I gotta know, what was it? Yeah, what was it like working with this legend of a person?
No, he's amazing. And so I actually had the honor of directing him, I think 7 or 8 times. Super nice individual, really, really cool. One time he was in Vancouver, and I wasn't working with him. He was on a different project. And he calls me and he's like, "Hey, I'd love to meet you." I'm like, "Sure, okay." So we meet him at a hotel, and we're sitting there. He says, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And I'm like, No, I'm good, thank you." And then he's like, "My friend and I will take 2 reds, please." And then I start having a couple of drinks with Christopher Plummer, and honestly, his words were, "Us Canadians have to stick together." So on this one, he's the voice of Rizzo, and he read the script well in advance and came. He's like, "Sean, I know you like the natural voice. We've done a lot together. Can I pitch you something?" And so he does the voice of Rizzo, and I mean, how do you not? I loved it, to be honest with you. The fact he put so much thought and effort and practice into it, that was really cool.
And I think what's even more cool is that you pretty much played his right-hand man in this one, the enforcer.
The big heavy dummy, that was me. Yeah, I crushed it, by the way. I don't know if that was, yeah.
Oh yeah, you totally did. And then you had Patton Oswalt, who I gotta tell you, my son is like a huge fan of his now, and he, I actually watched the screener with them. I'm like, "You guys want to see this movie?" And he's like, "Is that Patton Oswalt?" I go, "Yeah, that is him." He goes, "I know that voice anywhere." They absolutely love the movie as well. So it's like,
yeah, such an amazing voice, such an amazing person, so grounded. Like, I think for me, he's one of those ones that, like, I think because he's seen and done so much, like, he's not your average Hollywood celebrity, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, he's really down to earth, totally cool. And then, yeah, I love work.
Yeah, and you also got to work with Ron Perlman as the villain, and I love that. I love that he kept saying, "I need the Jade Blade. I am looking for the Jade Blade." Like, that's all that like mostly came out of his mouth. Like, that's all he wants. He's like, "I just want the Jade Blade. I don't care about anything else."
I love it, and for us, the Jade Blade's kind of like the Infinity Gauntlet, if you will. If he gets that thing, watch out. And I love his voice. I've also directed him, I think, 5 times or 6. And his voice is just so amazing. And like, to be honest with you, so what we always do is I always get like, let's call it 3 or more versions for safety, for coverage. And Ron, I tell you, man, he would be one of the few actors I'll probably agree to say, look, he gets 1 pass at it. You're kind of like, It's awesome. So with him, I can always, somewhat go twice, get it in the can, and it's just his voice is just so awesome.
Yeah, and I also like that because sometimes when you cast a teenager, a teenage character, you get an adult actor, but this one I think Kiefer O'Reilly really nailed it down. I mean, and I remember him from the Mighty Ducks, the series, and here he is. He just nailed it as Charlie. I think he couldn't have found a better voice actor for that character.
Well, thank you. So I actually got to work with Kiefer, my son, on the Howard Lovecraft trilogy, and then he signed a Disney Mighty Ducks contract, and then I was actually able to work with him outside of that, which was really cool. And so that was and for this to come out in the theaters June 9th, like I'm super stoked.
Yeah,
and that was amazing. That was really good father-son bonding time, if you will.
yes, it was. And then you also got some couple of martial arts greats in this one. You got Natasha Liu-Bordizzo from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2 as Lee, and I like that. She reminded me of Tigress in Kung Fu Panda. She was like the really stern.
Totally.
She was totally that. And then Byron Mann as Jia Hao was great. And Arthur Chow, I actually talked to him I think a year or two ago for a movie he did, and yeah, it was Superhost, where he was the star of that movie, and him as you was so funny because he's like, I can't change into a dragon. I'm scared of flying. Like I like the fact that he's a shapeshifter of the Chinese zodiac, and I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, with us, like it was one of those things. It was funny, like going into there, we go, well, wouldn't it be cool if we did all 12 creatures of the zodiac and he can turn into them all? Excellent concept. Let me tell you, when you put it into production, you're now modeling one person's actually 13 models, 13 rigs, 13 sets of cloth simulation, hair simulation. And as far as it goes, Zhu is probably the most expensive character on the screen, if you will, with all his iterations.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was there any difficulty that you had to face during like the shooting of the film in terms of, I know everything was animated, but was there any like hard parts that like you felt like could have done better or?
No, I mean, I love the way Zoo turned out specifically. And in terms of the entire production, obviously that whole COVID hit, it happened in the middle of it. Our team was fantastic. So, I think it was March 13th, 2020, the world kind of shut down. Mm-hmm. We were just kind of up and going. Everything's fluid and moving great. And then everyone started working from home. And so we had kind of two people. We did remote desktop for those who are doing lighting, rendering, compositing, and modeling. And then for everyone else, like the animation, when we used remote desktop, it wasn't much, but there was a slight delay when they worked from home and used their computers at the studio, and that slight delay would screw up lip sync. And so we caught it early on, which was lucky. So then Brady, our head of production, had to take out all the computers, drive each computer to the person's house so that it could happen locally, and we made sure the lip sync was on. So that was by far the hardest part of production, keeping everyone motivated, moving forward. It was a scary time, and looking back, I'm really proud of the team that they bonded together during that time to get the project done.
That's awesome. I gotta say, when my kids and I were watching the movie, they were like, "Hey, look at that! The voice actually matches their mouths for once." Like, because they're used to watching these other like anime series where you can't, the dubbing doesn't look as great, or we watch an old kung fu movie and it's clear like they're when they're overdubbed, it just doesn't match. But they were like, oh my God, the mouth actually matches the voice. This is a long time since we've seen something like that. I go, yeah, I know. It's like, this is awesome, isn't it? They're like, yeah.
Well, thank you. That's a testament to Sean Coughlin and Skylar Zur, our animation directors. Sean was on Sonic the Hedgehog, and Skylar's been with us forever. And yeah, it was those two that really, because that's a big part of it. Like, to me, the eyes are the window to the soul. So you can get so much animation and expression just from eyes. And the mouth, if it's off, somehow you end up staring at the mouth. It's like, even if it's a little bit, like your television's off or a DVD or a movie's off, you're kind of like, you start staring, is the lip sync off, or is that just me?
Yeah, exactly. Well, overall, this is a great film, and I'm hoping people will get to see it June 9th, because we need more family films like this. And especially those who are, we're starting to get a resurgence of these type of films where like these fantasy types films. We got this, we got The Secret Kingdom, and we got a few others coming up. And I think we need more of these type of films. And I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
Yeah, 100%, totally. Like, and to be honest with you, it's been a little bit challenging in the theatrically released animated department. I mean, there was some, especially during COVID, there was a bunch that went straight to DVD or streaming. God, I'm aging myself. There's a bunch that went right to streaming. And then there's been a couple the Pixar, the Disney and Pixar one, Strange Worlds, I think didn't quite do as well as they were hoping. So it's good to see, some of the other ones like Puss in Boots, I think they're pretty happy with that in terms of numbers. So it's been a little bit challenging during this time.
Exactly. And of course, Super Mario Brothers just took everything. Just like
that was the one that everyone's like, so it can be done.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like that was the one. Before that, everyone's like, I think animation's dead. And it's like Super Mario comes out, animation's alive. We need more.
Yes, exactly. And especially with films like this, I think this can be a great triple feature with like The Forbidden Kingdom and Enter the Warrior's Gate, because they have that same premise of an American coming to ancient China and becoming the unchosen hero, like the unlikely hero to help the warriors save their kingdom or their city. And this will be a perfect triple. This is a perfect triple feature in my opinion.
I love it. I agree 100%.
So finally, with that said, what's next for you that you can talk about after this is released?
Yeah, so we are in production of Ultra Duck. And so it is exactly what you think. It's based on our top-selling comic book created by Edgar Delgado. And so I think this morning we went through some stuff. We're almost 40 minutes completely animated, minor modeling, mostly we're blowing stuff up and destroying things. So we are well on our way and looking kind of at wrapping Ultra Duck up in 2023.
That's awesome. Well, those who love a good family film and love martial arts and they love the fantasy stuff, they're going to want to check out Heroes of the Golden Mask. It comes out on digital on June 9th. And Sean, thank you again, man, for taking the time to talk about it. I totally had a blast. And yeah, we're definitely going to have to, once Ultra Duck comes out, I definitely would love to talk to you about that one.
Oh, please. It'll be wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Well, everyone take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.